Everyone. This is Monica from Moikai Cakes, and today is my birthday, so happy birthday to me. And I'm now baking my birthday cake. And what I'm baking later will be a surprise, so stay subscribed in my channel to find out what it is. But I'm here to share with you some of the valuable techniques that I use whenever I make a cake. So, right now, I want to show you how I separate my egg yolks from the egg whites and how I troubleshoot them. So here we go. Let me flip this around. All right. So I am obviously making a sponge cake. So I separate my egg yolks from the egg whites. Now, when I separate my eggs, I make sure that the eggs are fresh. When I say fresh, it means freshly bought from your grocer or from the market. And I also test if the egg is fresh by putting it in a, let me grab a water. Give me a second. All right. So here's a glass of water. And I will put my eggs in. If it sinks in the bottom and it stays in the bottom, they are good to go. If it floats on top, that's no good. You better throw it away. Now, sometimes the egg would, will tilt a bit and try to float a little bit, but it still stays at the bottom. It's still good. But those kind of eggs are not good if you want to create sponges or meringue, because what happens is, let me get back here. Okay, what happens is okay, so what happens is if your eggs are not fresh, your egg whites are so runny and they're difficult to separate, and as well as it will not foam up to how much you want it. So as much as possible, get your eggs fresh when you're making sponge cakes or meringue. Okay? That's very valuable tip. All right. So where was I? Okay. So I am going to separate my egg yolks from my egg whites. Some of them like to crack it beside the bowl because it creates a nice even crack. Okay. What's good about that is it creates a nice line here. And it doesn't give you as much, broken shells. And try to open it as gently as possible so you do not break the egg yolk. Once you break the egg yolk, it's kind of difficult to separate it. The most important thing is that the egg yolk is intact. And then I will slowly shift my egg yolk to the other side and let the egg white just go into the bowl. And then I do it one more round. And yeah. And then I put it on the other side. Now there's another technique where some people would hit it here, because some say it's cleaner actually. See how less the eggshells are? But I noticed that if you don't hit it too hard on the table, or if you hit it too hard, it will create like these small shells, crack of shells here that can go to your bowl. So anyway, it's still up to you how you want to do it. For me, see, case in point, there's an eggshell there. If you can see it, here, there's an eggshell. Yeah. So that's why I prefer to hit it beside the bowl. And this is another technique. Don't worry, my hands are clean. This is actually the fastest way to separate egg yolks from the egg whites. So you just gently run the egg yolk with your hands while the egg whites go into the bowl. And make sure your hands are uber clean. This is very helpful when you are like making tons of egg whites for your Italian meringue recipe. because I do classes, by the way, for those who do not know, I do classes for buttercream flowers, and I make like tons, a lot of buttercream. So whenever I separate my egg whites, I do it that way. It's faster. And okay, so we remember the eggshell that was in the egg a while ago. One way to, if you happen to have an eggshell in your egg white, the easiest way to take it out is use an eggshell and just scoop it up with your eggshell. There you go. Whoops. And we got it. The extra eggshell. I'm not sure whether you can see it. Okay. Now some of you may have problems where they break the egg yolk. They break the egg yolk. So I had a case where I broke an egg yolk. I put in the bowl, and there's like some a little bit of egg yolks that was mixed, that was in the egg white. I would use the same technique, which is use an eggshell to scoop up some of the egg yolk that got into the egg white. And the thing is that egg yolks and egg whites do not mix until you mix them. So when that happens, that you happen to put a little bit of egg yolk in the bowl, you can still save it. Just scoop it up with it. Doesn't matter if you happen to have some egg whites or not. It's fine. So one last egg before I move on to the rest of my recipe. And you see how careful I am. Yeah. To be honest, whenever I do sponges or chiffons, this is actually the task that takes a lot of time. And when I first started, I was a self-taught baker. I spent 6 months perfecting one chiffon recipe that I could not get it right. So imagine the amount of eggs that I have to, separate and, do. And then when I fail, I have to do it again and again and again and again. It's crazy. But I did it. I perfected it. So, yeah. So that's how you separate the egg yolks from the egg whites. I've shared also 2 techniques on how to troubleshoot it. So if you have an eggshell, so 2 tips on how to troubleshoot whenever you separate your egg yolks from the egg whites. 1, if you happen to have a tiny itty bit eggshell inside your egg white, just use the eggshell to scoop up that fragment. And number 2, way to troubleshoot egg yolks out of your egg white is also using the eggshell technique, and let the egg yolks go to the shell or just scoop it out of it. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.